926. Adding and subtracting fractions, day 1. Solve and simplify each one. The front side will keep the same denominator, and we'll do the first 4 together. For example, 1/4 plus 2/4 have the same denominator, so we add the top straight across, but the bottom stays the same. This is like saying I have 1/4 of a pizza plus 2/4 of a pizza. Now I have 3/4 of a pizza. The next problem, 3 plus 7 is 10 divided by 10. This can be simplified to 1. 5 plus 6 gives me 11/7. 2 plus 5 gives me 7/6. So 2 plus 4 gives us 6, and the denominator stays the same. This we can reduce. We notice that a 3 is a factor in both of these numbers, so we simplify to 2/3. If you simply wrote 6/9, that would be incorrect. A similar thing happens here. 2/8, we can divide both by 2 and get 1/4. However, with 3/7 or 5/9, these cannot be simplified. 6/10, we can divide both by 2 as they are even numbers, and we're going to get 3/5. 8/11 cannot be simplified. 8/12, we can divide both by 4, and we end up with 2/3. 5/6 cannot be simplified. 11/12 cannot be simplified. And notice now we are subtracting. Works the same, 2 minus 1, and the bottom doesn't change. 1/3. And over here, 3/5, already in the lowest form. 1/9, because again we are subtracting. On to the back. Continue to solve. You will need to find a common denominator before continuing, and like the front side, we'll do 4 of them together. So the reason we cannot simply subtract straight across and keep the bottom the same is that 2 and 3 are different numbers. So we're going to multiply these fractions to convert them so that they become the same. An easy way to do this is simply to take the 3 and multiply this entire first fraction by 3. 1 times 3 is 3. 2 times 3 is 6. Then, for the next fraction, I will take this 2 and multiply the other fraction by 2. 1 times 2 is 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Notice, now my denominators are the same, and I can simply subtract straight across to get 1/6. The same trick can be used for the next problem. We will take the 3 and multiply this entire first fraction by 3. 9/12. Then we will take 4 and multiply the second fraction. So we're still subtracting, the minus just carries down, and 2 times 4 is 8, and 3 times 4 is 12. We know that we have done this correctly because our denominators are the same, and now we simply subtract straight across the top. While that technique will always work, sometimes we can save time by using a different technique. For example, notice that 5 can be doubled to make 10. So in a situation like this, I need to multiply this first fraction by 2, converting it to 6/10. I did not have to multiply both fractions, though I could have used that same technique, and I would have ended up with 2 fractions over 50. This one was only one step and is a little bit simpler. 1/10. 1/2 minus 2/5. I will take this left fraction and multiply everything by 5, giving me 5 times 1 is 5, 5 times 2 is 10. Then I'll take this right fraction and multiply everything by 2. 2 times 2 is 4, 5 times 2 is 10. I know I've done things correctly because my denominators are now the same. I subtract straight across the top, and there's my final answer. Let's jump down a few to 1/2 minus 2/4 to see if you can figure out the shortcut here. We look at the two denominators and see if we can multiply one to transform it into the other. And it turns out if we take this left fraction and we multiply the whole thing by 2, it becomes 2 over 4. The second unique thing about this problem is that we end up with 0 over 4, which can be simplified to just 0.